Welcome to Straight to the Point. What is the voice of the customer? The voice of the customer, often abbreviated as VOC, describes the wants and expectations of your specific customer base. The VOC is considered a very critical part as well of process design, as we want to be considering our customers' needs at every single step of the process. It's also worth noting that the voice of the customer has become more and more popular over the last few years. One of the reasons that could be is because as a marketplace has fewer and fewer competitors within it that can differentiate their products or services, the level of their customer service and how well they meet the voice of the customer is what really differentiates them. So if I could go to either company A or B and buy a similar good or a similar service from them, the one differentiator that helps influence me from which company I do make that purchase from will ultimately be how well they meet the voice of the customer. To understand the voice of the customer really means we need to understand what our customers want, and not what we believe they want. This could be a make or break for some companies as they misunderstand what their customers are actually trying to tell them. The way an organization can understand the VOC is by reaching out to their customers and trying to understand them better through either surveys, focus groups, or other means. It's also interesting to note, in terms of process design, we only need to meet the requirements of our customers. We don't want to under-deliver, of course, but at the same time, we don't have to over-deliver. What we want to be able to do is to meet the requirements as best as we can and ensure that it's consistently over time meeting our customers' needs. What we're trying to avoid is to provide a service or product to a customer that only meets their needs for a given period of time, because what will happen is once that product or service no longer meets their needs, they will return back to the marketplace. And when they return back to the marketplace, it can become that much more difficult to reacquire if they were already dissatisfied with us. It's also important to note that the voice of the customer is becoming more important due to social networking. Now with social networking becoming more popular on the internet, customers from all around the world have the ability to provide their reviews online. If those reviews online are not favorable for a given organization, it can take up a lot of human resources and capital to manage the recovery. Not to mention, there may be significant impacts to revenues. The approach of maintaining an existing client should be just as important as bringing on a new one. Let's walk through a quick example. Looking at our manufacturing of a pencil factory, the voice of the customer may speak to the actual specifications of the pencil. So how dark is the charcoal? It could also be the type of pencil that we're producing. Is it mechanical? Is it non-mechanical? Or perhaps the voice of our customer for our specific marketplace is looking at luxury pencils. Perhaps we're providing high-end pencils, and what really matters is the brand power and not so much the actual functionality. Looking at the services industry, in specific a contact center, we want to take a look at what the voice of our customer is in terms of service delivery. Do our customers actually want to speak to a live agent, or do they want to be able to go online and make the change or inquiry that they want? Also, what language is available to them? Perhaps the customer that's calling in doesn't speak English and prefers to speak another language. Are there customer service representatives available to meet their needs? In a nutshell, that's the voice of the customer. The voice of the customer is speaking to what are the needs and requirements of our specific market segment. And through process design, it becomes very important to us as to how well we meet those requirements and needs. We don't want to undersell, and we also at the same time don't want to oversell. And while that may not seem intuitive to over-deliver, the reason why is typically in over-delivery, you also might be increasing the cost of your product. So you would also want to make sure that you're not sacrificing the cost of your product, so your entry into the marketplace and the potential customers you have due to cost to provide extra features that may not be as valued by them. And lastly, VOC becomes more important as an organization matures and there are fewer players in the marketplace. As products become similar from competitors, the real defining factor becomes how well those organizations satisfy the voice of the customer, so how well they actually do meet those requirements, as well as how consistently and reliably they do that too. We don't want to be able to provide a good or service that only temporarily satisfies a customer's needs. We want to continue to meet that need. It's also worth noting that the voice of the customer may change over time, and it's very important for an organization to continue to engage their customers and ensure their products or services meet their needs. And we're done. That concludes this session. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks so much.